It's on now. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Fairfax. This is the first board meeting of the year. And I'd like to welcome you. Happy New Year. Hope your guys' vacation, if you were on vacation, went well. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:02. And our flag salute will be led by me tonight. Please stand, remove your hats if you have hats on. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. So many faces tonight. So, into the approval now. Can I get an approval for the agenda for January 12th? A motion to approve the agenda.
First motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any public comments at this time?
We have no public comments.
Thank you. Next, we will go into our recognition section. Tonight, we will be giving out the Golden Apple Award, and I'd like to say something before we get into more detail on that. This person who is receiving the Golden Apple Award tonight has been a major part of our school, has helped out with our children numerous times and with our faculty when it comes to public safety and other things like that. I know that when I was working here, she always had a smile on her face, was always saying hello, good morning, and waving us goodbye, and just a very positive influence in our community.
And just to add to that, I'm gonna give her name here in just a minute. So when Miss Alejandra's name was posted on the agenda, I had numerous staff members approach me and say, I wanted to nominate her. Who did that? I wanted to nominate her. She has been a staple at this district for a very long time. I didn't know how long until just a couple days ago. She took me clear back to when Mr. Wolf was principal here, is how long she's been helping guide our students across the street. And so she has been part of our community for a very long time. And she does support staff and making sure that they get parked. She controls traffic. She gets students across the street, and she even helps our high school students that are down the street get home safe. And so we really want to thank her, and I want to bring her up. And I know that Mr. Hernandez has a few things he'd like to say too, but I'd like to recognize Alejandra Bermudez for our Golden Apple, and it has been 3 years since we've gotten a Golden Apple Award. So come on up, Alejandra. Congratulations.
Is that the camera? Alejandra has some family that couldn't be here, that are out of state. And thank you, Miss Christina, for putting her on the Zoom. So your mom or whoever's watching, she's awesome. She's done a great job. I've been here only about a year, and she's one of the first people I met when I was doing yard duty as vice principal here. And I was like, whoa, this young lady is crazy, because she just has a little plastic stop sign and the cars are going out there pretty fast. There's 18-wheelers. There's the people that are going to school and out in a hurry. And she just goes out there with that little sign. And she's always smiling. Like Mrs. Brown said, she's the first one, no matter what time you get here, she's out there. And whenever you leave in the evening, she's out there again. And she's just an awesome employee. And I always want to smile every time I see her. So thank you for empowering all of us. You're doing such a great job. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
También, si puedo decir algo.
I can say something.
Antier, creo uno de esos días que estaba lloviendo fuerte, yo pasé por aquí y sí, la vi enfrente llueve, 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 y ella ahí parada. Dije, qué pesado está esto. Y también los demás, por donde pasé, estaban las otras personas también paradas en la esquina con su señal de stop.
So the day
Dije,
before,
pues,
the day
pobre.
before yesterday, it was raining hard and I seen her, with her sign. And I thought, wow, this must be hard, but there she is along with others.
Todos también, o sea, es algo difícil, algo duro, pero que están cumpliendo
It's
su
hard, it's
trabajo.
rough, but they
en
are
esas-
complying with work.
Felicidades.
So, thank you.
Next, we will be going on to the reports. We have the attendance. Wait, monthly attendance board. I didn't see that underneath. I'm sorry. The principals are looking at me.
So
Sorry,
So
principals.
monthly attendance, for this month, our attendance percentage is a little bit lower than we like to see, but we do have a brand new winner this year with a 91.22% attendance rate. Mr. Max over there shaking his head, thinking all he sees is, And I want to congratulate and bring on up Fairfax Junior High.
Gotta get a good picture. Gotta get a good picture. Yeah, it might be 3 years since we get this one too. I called this, by the way, right? Thank you, guys. Thank you to awesome staff too, and all of our wonderful teachers who do such great lesson plans and make the kids want to come to school. So this is a staff, a team win. Yay.
Okay, I think some of the principals were like, she should have skipped it. Okay, now we'll move on to the reports. We have the superintendent's report, which will be done by Miss Laura Brown.
All right, good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here. And as President Padilla had just said, welcome back to a brand new year. And it just has been, someone mentioned today, we're 12 days in, and it just seems like we've already had a month in. But with that being said, it has been a great 12 days. Some of the things that I wanted to highlight kind of take us back to December. And at the very end of my report, we're going to watch a quick video from our elementary orchestra that performed in December. We have 101 students participating in elementary orchestra. And I think that is just a staggering number, and it's impressive. And the growth that they've made in such a short time, I think it was just on the October agenda, September or October, when we brought it to the board to purchase all of the instruments and the violins and so forth. And to see this kind of progress in such a short time has been quite impressive. Also, Saturday school is going to be starting up in a couple weeks. There's 180 students scheduled for Saturday school. And I really want to send kind of a shout out to our expanded learning program and what a wonderful job they're doing. And in fact, they've been invited to present at an upcoming after school program symposium, and they will two of our program specialists have been asked to present for adventure. And so congratulations to you two. I know you will make us so proud. And also we have some math coaching continuing next week. And this week was a week full of fun with science fair and our first spelling bee competitions. And so we will be having a district spelling bee coming up. And so there's been some great things going on around the district. And I want to commend everyone for all their hard work. Sports are also underway, and board members, in your packets, I have included sports schedules for you in case you want to catch a game or two. I think today was our first games of the winter season.
We actually have our soccer coach that can tell us how they did today. Exactly in the match.
Okay.
How'd you guys do? So the girls won 5-0 and the boys won 6-1.
All right, congratulations. Our sports teams always perform so well, so it's great to hear that they're off to a good start as we start our winter seasons. In orchestra, we had 101 participating right now. 101. And so I have just a quick video to kind of highlight. This is their first event. So I want to congratulate Mr. Johnson on a successful first program. I'm looking forward to our spring concerts. And then one last thing, in February, the first part of February, the date is, I believe, the 9th. Oh, no, so that's the night of the board, the day of the board meeting. It's the 9th. We are going to be hosting it's called a STEMposium, and we've been invited by Pitsco, who is they are the vendor that puts together our science labs, and we'll be hosting it for all of Central California. So there'll be several school districts invited to come and come to our district and take a look at our STEM labs and hear about why we decided to use Pitsco and what that looks like in our schools, and get to ask some questions and meet our students. And we just know that they're going to fall in love with our school, because if you're here, you love who we are. So we're excited to host it. And it's going to be it's going to be a great opportunity for us to showcase Fairfax School District. It is going to start at 8:30 in the morning. We're going to start with a breakfast, a light breakfast, and then we will go and visit an elementary lab and a junior high lab. And then we will also have some closing remarks where we'll bring in some students and teachers so that they can ask questions. And then the program will be opened by myself and the president of Pitsco. And we also have Mr. Martinez, who will be talking about Kubo.
We'll be moving on to our board report. Is that you as well? Or
That would just be.
or that's us.
I likewise went the orc concert, and it was nothing short of goosebumps. The way the kids came on stage, took the orchestra, their instruments, everything professionally And it was totally, it brought tears to my eyes. And these are our students. A1. So thank you for getting the violins. I know where the $65,000 went. And I'm happy. It's wonderful. Absolutely outstanding.
Before I left Shirley Lane, I was able to meet our music director that was over there, Mr. Johnson. And the way that he teaches the students is just phenomenal. He knows how to get our kinders and first graders to follow direction very easily. And it is very, like, I just love the way he is. And he is a great addition to our music program. Anybody else have anything to report? Next, we will be moving on to presentations, the California dashboard. Assistant Superintendent?
Yes, Mr. Clark will be presenting to us on the California dashboard. So it's been a couple of years since our students test. And so Mr. Clark will kind of go more into detail, but it has been since 2019 that our students tested in last year. Our students tested, so we have scores and then we have a dashboard. And there's also going to kind of talk about the accountability system that the state has based on those reports. And that's where the California dashboard comes in. And so this is a baseline year for us. And there's been a lot of talk from the California Department of Education that's how we look at this. That's how we look at this as a baseline year. And so that we can, we're kind of rebenching where our students are at and identifying where those needs are. And we're looking forward to their future success.
All right, well, good evening. So in your packets, you'll see a presentation that looks like this. It's also up on the screen behind you there. So I'm going to be going over some new terms, including overview of the California dashboard, what that is. I'm going to give you a brief overview of state scores, how our students performed. And they're also going to talk about a term you're going to hear over the next course of the next year called differentiated assistance. Those of you may remember from the old days, that was called program improvement. It's a much different model now. It's called differentiated assistance. And I'm going to talk to you about how Fairfax became eligible and talk to you about the process of how the county office works together with us. So the California dashboard has multiple measures. We don't just look at language arts and math scores. We look at a variety of things, which I'm going to go through. There's a focus on equity and really that giving you that ability to make your own local decisions based on your needs through the LCAP process. When you do need support, it's called continuous improvement. So we're always working to get better just as we would normally. There's two student groups. There's groups based on condition, and those are our English learners, our foster youth, homeless, socioeconomically disadvantaged, and students with disabilities. The data is also reported on student groups based on ethnicity, which you can see on the column on the right. In order for them to count as a group, there needs to be 30 or more students in a group. So when you look at the dashboard, there's a total of 12 indicators. 7 of them are called state indicators, and 5 of them apply to us as a K-8 district, where we look at chronic absenteeism, suspension rate, English learner progress, and our ELA and math assessment scores. The local indicators are self-reported indicators, and that's where we keep track of our parent engagement. We are giving our annual surveys. It ensures that we have the supplies that we need in our classrooms. But the dashboard really focuses on those state indicators. So you'll see here that out of those 5, it used to be, looks like a dial on your car. So when, from full to empty, right? So now they've changed the model so it looks like bars of service on your phone. The reason why they did that is because sometimes 1 can mean very low or can mean very high depending on the indicator. And sometimes 5 bars can mean very high or very low depending on the indicator. So it sounds like it's more complicated, but it actually makes a lot more sense when we start digging into it. Just to reference, this next slide is not on the dashboard, but this is broken up score. I presented this back in November that I know many of you weren't here for. So I just wanted to just readdress or reiterate that prior to the pandemic, which is represented by the red line, we were moving in the right direction. Our ELA and math scores were going up. Math was not going up as much as we'd like, and we've really tried to make that a more of a focus in the last couple of years. But you can see that the red line indicates when we had school closures, we had 3 hours of school a day, we had 1,000 students on distance learning, and then when we came and we didn't test that year. So when we came back in 2022, last school year, when everybody was in, and this data is statewide, this is nationwide too. This particularly is our district, but the same trend is seen among every district. So when you want to look at the dashboard, I encourage you all to do this. So you go to casschooldashboard.org, and then you just type in Fairfax. When you type that in, it'll give you Fairfax, it'll give you all of our elementary. So all of this data that I'm going to show you is just going to be at a district level, but you can go through, and I encourage you to look at each of the school site levels too, because it breaks it down by school site. So again, I'm going to be sharing overview district level. So this is all of our students. When you first log on, it'll show you some demographic data, student population, our socioeconomically disadvantaged group, our percentage of English learners, and our percentage of foster youth. So it gives you some basic demographics. Then it gives you an overview of how our students performed based on those bars, like I said, like on your phones. So our chronic absenteeism, it's very high, but it's a 1 because that's not good. We want our chronic absenteeism rate very low. So the way a student is classified as chronically absent is if they miss 10% of the school year. So last year we had 23% of our students chronically absent, or 28. I'm going to show you in a second. To put that in perspective, the year before COVID in 2019, I think we had 11. So I will say that 23% is we've doubled. It's very high. Interestingly enough, it's still among the lowest in the county. To show you what a countywide issue of chronic absenteeism was last year. The year before, with students being quarantined, the rules were constantly changing on when you would close a class or kids on distance learning. And if they didn't turn their work in, they didn't get attendance counted. So a lot of factors went into that. So we recognize that chronic absenteeism is an issue. We also noticed when students came back after a year of quasi, being in school part-time, we had a lot of new behaviors. We had to reteach how to behave in school. And so we did see a lot of increased behaviors. We also noticed that our students you may have heard the term loss of learning. And so our students did perform much lower than they had in 2019 in ELA and in math. So when you go to look at each one of those, it'll give you a points below standard. So obviously we want to be at standard. If you're at standard, you're at grade level. 65 points below, it doesn't represent really a grade level percentage below, but it's just the number of points that you need that you're away from there. And I want to show you what it looked like in years past. So this slide right here, this is not on the dashboard. This is just our own data. So in 2016, we were 58 points away from standard. Up to 2019, we were 43 points away from standard, which means we grew 15.4. So green is good, red is bad, because in 2022, we went back to minus 65. We lost 21 points. So we making good growth and then took a big hit in that 1 year. And as each year goes on, this is repeated at each school site, that we were making great growth, and then we did not test for 2 years due to the state canceling testing, and then testing being optional because the kids were not in school consistently. You'll see that we had every school site, and as a district, we did lose after we were making all those gains. Math is the same picture. We were making great growth from 2016 to 19, and then kind of back to where we started, in some cases back to below where we started in 2016. But one of the positives we take away from this is every single year from 16 to 19, we were growing. And so the things we were doing was working. And so we know the formula, we've done it before. And so we're looking forward to, the red there, that's our new baseline year. So when I'm sitting here a year from now, I'm hoping to show you that the next column is going to be green, that we are starting to get those systems back in place of catching those students up. Going back to the dashboard below the main, where it says English language arts or math, that's what's called the equity report. And that's what breaks it out by student group. Remember, I told you there are 2 different kinds of groups, and one of them is by ethnicity. And so this breaks it down by student group. One of the words I'm going to start saying for the rest of the presentation is called differentiated assistance. One of the ways the way you're qualified for differentiated assistance is if one of these student groups is not performing in 2 or more priority areas. So as you can see there on this next slide, that we have 4 groups that are in the very low category: our African-American subgroup, English learners, homeless, and students with disabilities. And then the dashboard allows you to dig in even deeper. When you click on each of those subgroups, it will tell you the number of students. So for instance, one of our subgroups that is in our very low category is our African-American subgroup, and it shows you the number of students. So there's 50 students. For English learners, we're looking at 752 students. Our homeless students, we're looking at 32, and students with disabilities, 229. So the numbers provide some context because we are a district of 2,700. And so what's great about this report, though, it tells us we don't just because there's a low number of students in a certain group, you just brush it aside. It really calls out that you do need to support those students. When we look at a couple of the other things it reports on, which I talked about, was our suspension rate and our chronic absenteeism. So when it says 3.8% of students were suspended at least one day, that means that's about 102 students were suspended at least one time in last school year. And our chronic absenteeism rate at 23.1% is very high. And you'll notice the number 9 is in the very high, which pretty much meant every one of our subgroups was very high and chronically absent. So again, chronic absenteeism is 10%. So we're coming up on the 100th day of school in a couple of weeks. If a student has missed 10 days, they're chronically absent. So what we're able to do, though, is that's a constant moving target. So as we get to 110 days, now it's 11. So we're always looking at those students who are approaching the end of the year chronic absenteeism rate. So there's 180 school days in a year. If they're absent 18 days, they're considered chronically absent. So that's kind of our scores in a nutshell. So I want to talk to you about what that means now. So if you have 2 groups, if you have any one group that does not meet performance standards in any 2 of the priority areas, you're offered what's called differentiated assistance by the county office. And it's just based on those 7 state indicators. And for us, it's 5. So we're looking at chronic absenteeism, suspension, English learner, graduation, or excuse me, ELA and math. Those are our 5 categories we're looking at. So this graph right here, it shows you, so there's 3 priorities. Priority 4 is student achievement, which is CASP and English learner progress. Priority 5 is chronic absenteeism and graduation. Graduation doesn't apply to us. And priority 6 is suspension. So in order to qualify for differentiated assistance, you have to have one group be in any 2 of those categories. So on the bottom, it can be one student group can be have one area of priority 4 and 5, 4 and 6, 5 and 6, or 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so we just need one group to fall in at least 2 of the different colored columns. So if we have 4 groups, it's our English learners, African-American, students with disabilities, and our homeless population scored very low in math and ELA, and they were also chronically absent. So they fell into 2. So that's what qualifies Fairfax for differentiated assistance. We had 2 groups that were in also, I got to go back. We had 2 groups that also were in priority 6, and that was our students with disabilities and our African-American subgroup. Another way to look at it is if in this kind of column way you see on that where it says student group, it has all 4 of them, and you can see across in which it's just a different way of looking at the same thing I showed on the last slide, but it shows that those 4 groups were low for CASP, and they were also chronically absent. So just some context for all of this, that, we didn't test in 2020 scores. We did not test. 2021, we did not test. So they're really encouraging us not to compare ourselves to prior years. I did that a little bit because I just, again, wanted to give you some context and kind of set the stage of where we're at now. So this is our baseline year. So all we're looking for is growth from this point moving on. We did not, we all remember what those couple school years were like. And I know all of our teachers could attest there was a lot of loss of learning. There's a lot of new issues that we haven't had to, address in the past. So now that we've been back for last year and for this year, we're looking forward to really moving our students back to where they were before. The way the county office comes into play is that they work with us side by side. So several years ago, we did the same process and they work with us to help identify strengths and weaknesses. And I just want to say our county people that are assigned to Fairfax, they are awesome. They're really great to work with. They will help us really dive into our data. They're experts at that. And they help us really evaluate our programs. It's a very collaborative process. So there's a large team between all stakeholders that participate in this process. Some people in the audience may remember doing CIP several years ago, and we're part of that. And it's very good at helping us identify holes that we might not see. So we're getting a lot of different people's perspectives. Kind of an example of what that looks like. So above the surface, you can see symptoms of the problem, but they call it the root cause analysis because you're digging below to look at the roots. So an example would be we have high rates of chronic absenteeism. Well, the root cause might be we're not monitoring our independent study completion rates. So that's the process they help walk us through. This, I'm almost done, last couple slides here. So this kind of infinity sign just shows the path that we're going. And I like that it's kind of that infinity symbol because it is continuous. We're constantly looking at what we're doing. We're looking at data, we're identifying those problems of practice, looking for root causes, and we just keep moving through and constantly reflecting. This last part here is the kind of the roadmap where we're at. So we've done the first couple of steps for differentiated assistance. We've met with our reps at county for differentiated assistance. Now we're about to assemble the teams and looking forward to have some good collaboration for the rest of this school year. The last thing I'll end on is to also show that this is not unique to Fairfax, this differentiated assistance. 34 of 46 districts, so 74% of all districts in Kern County are in the same boat. There are 20 districts, including Fairfax, that were in year one. There's 14 districts that were last year and this year. Our goal is to get out after year one. So there are some that are still in. If you look at the bottom there, there's all of those categories: student disabilities, foster, homeless. Those are all the different areas we qualify. Remember, we qualified for English learners, African-American students, disabilities, and homeless. And you'll see that those are some of the highest buckets that are filled in the county, right? So we're very similar with what's going on with a lot of schools, and this is actually very similar to what's going on statewide. So I think it's just important to keep that in context that we're all in the same boat. So with that, I know that was a lot of information. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any.
As Mr. Clark said, this is a lot of information, so definitely take some time to review it, and you can give us, ask questions at any time. These were trends that all of us administrators, and I know a lot of the staff and teachers, we talked about all year last year. Anytime we went somewhere and we met with our colleagues, the common thread that we talked about was, getting students to school and the continued absences and really working on behaviors. And so these were the same types of things and the same struggles that our colleagues, across the state were experiencing. And I really do commend the hard work that's been going on to recoup this learning loss and to, remodel and reaffirm our behaviors and our expectations that we have here at the school. And so keep up the good work. I know you guys are giving it your college try, and it is greatly appreciated.
I do have a question. How do we calculate parent involvement? How can we improve parent involvement?
So that's a great question. So the way we calculate it and get hard numbers are sign-in sheets. And so survey responses. There's a lot of events though that we know, like for instance, people were talking about having a hard time to park. But we have a couple hundred people here right now, parents, at school right now supporting their kids. But the hard numbers that we keep track of are surveys, sign-in sheets. So anytime parents come to events, we, site council, booster clubs, things like that.
And so on our actual LCAP, there's they're called matrix or matrices, and it has on there the actual numbers that we use each year that we have to go in and evaluate to see if based on those surveys, if those percents are going up or down. And so those questions on those parent surveys are part of that as well. And that is kind of our hard concrete data and how those numbers, move back and forth from, that's how we monitor that.
And you'll also notice when in March and April, when I start presenting LCAP information to you, you'll see the actual, and our goal 3 is there's a lot about parent involvement, and you'll see exactly what those matrices are. But in the meantime, if you ever want to look at it, we're happy to go over it with you.
Thanks for that presentation. That's really, really insightful. It seems like before COVID, things were on the up, across the board, correct? Does admin see a need to do things differently or more of in terms of interventions relative to chronic absenteeism? For example, maybe some things in the processes and the structures you guys had in place before COVID that might not be enough, and you may need to do even more, something even more creative in terms of getting the students back to school, so yeah, anyways, that's
No, it's a great point. I mean, what
Yeah.
interventions that worked for we talk about root cause, the root cause might not be the same root cause that it was
Yeah,
prior to
right.
COVID, because we have different symptoms now. And
Yeah.
so, and that's a great point. So one of the things that we have added in this last year to help support with attendance, we've added coordinators of student support at all of our sites. We've really tried to give the offices some more support with adding another attendance clerk at each site to help. So we make more phone calls. We're collecting all of those independent study packets to try to capture some of that data. We also get a little bit of mixed messages from the state when they say they tell us not to encourage incentivizing attendance, because if a student doesn't feel that the state's message is, if the student doesn't feel they need to come to school for safety reasons, then they don't need to come. So
right. Because it seems like if that's addressed, it seems like there'll just be a trickle down of a lot of these other indicators that will improve test scores and so on and so forth. But
Yeah.
we got to get the kids here.
they have to be in seats before they can learn.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Exactly. All right, thank you.
There's some phone calls.
At our school sites, we have a secretary, and we have a clerk, and we have an attendance clerk, and we have a supplemental attendance clerk. So there's our main phone calls go from our attendance clerks. We also have automated calls that go out. But we also have our counselors and our coordinators of student supports that make home visits that you kind of get those more frequent flyers of students who are more absent.
And then our truancy letters, our system creates and generates truancy letters based on like 3, 6, and 9 unexcused absences. And then as you kind of progress through those truancy letters, it schedules appointments and meetings that you're asked to meet with the families and talk about kind of the reasons why. I mean, sometimes it's things that we can help address, and we can improve that attendance. That's always the goal. The goal is to work with the families to find out how we can help them, improve that attendance, and what can we do on our end that's, impeding the students from coming to school. But it is time to get creative, and, some of the things that we did do before are things that we can't do now. And especially as they, we used to put a lot of incentives out there for attendance, and we've kind of pulled back from that because we are trying to definitely follow the guidance that we've been given. And we don't want, if children aren't feeling well, we don't want them to feel like that they have to come to school. That's always, we need to make sure all the students are safe. And so it's time to start thinking outside the box.
Well, I really like the incentives that you guys have set up already too. Attendance rewards for, I don't know, you guys doing it per school or even per classroom, things like that. Going to kind of just focus on the kids not here. We got to also set up incentives for the kids that are here. So that's awesome.
Kids used to be scared of the truant officer. Yeah.
All righty, we will move on to our consent section. Are there any questions or comments about 1 through 7? Do I have a move? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 7?
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty. So now we go on to the action items. Okay. Now we'll move on to our action items, business finance. Which is, item 1 is the mileage reimbursement, which will be done by.
Yeah, so the mileage reimbursement, this,
Can we
so,
back up
yes,
one,
of course.
one quick question? This out of county travel to Fresno? Why Fresno and not Calm?
So about, I'm gonna say about 4 years ago now, there was district field trips that were working together with all of the grade levels. We identified field trips. This is the Fresno Zoo, that we identified field trips at each grade level, that each grade level would have the opportunity to go on. So we have a district field trip schedule, and second grade's field trip is to the Fresno Zoo. And so as each school organizes their own field trip, but all the students in the district do go in that grade level, will travel to the Fresno Zoo sometime in the year. They do. Kindergarten goes to Calm. And then we have the zoo. Some other out of county ones are the Science Center down in the LA area. And the junior high goes to the Museum of Tolerance. And to then they also do another trip. They've gone to the Discovery Cube and some different some kind of a science-based field trip as well.
And our fourth graders also go
Would be
to
mission.
missions. And the intent is so they don't step on each other's feet. So they're not going to, if they're first grade's going to Calm, we want to give second graders a different experience.
So working together, but it's interesting that we are actually looking to revamp some of them this year, because there's some of them aren't as great as they used to be, and so looking to work together to try to make sure that we're kind of keeping up with what changes are being made at some of those field trip destinations. And the intent is really to this is part of one of our LCAP goals, and is to provide opportunity where the kids may not have any other way to go or to do. And so really try to identify those opportunities that we can give them that may take them to somewhere they haven't had the opportunity to go.
Anything else? All right. Thank you for that question. Mileage reimbursement.
So mileage reimbursement, this item is just to keep us in line with the federal changes that go along with our mileage rate change. And so this would keep us in compliance with that.
Do I have a first motion to approve action item 1?
First motion.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Action item 2, approval of the VA modernization.
So this is going to be a purchase order between Radian Design and Fairfax School District. And Mr. Mack's going to talk a little bit about this, because this kind of started before, back when back in November, we had some bids, and then it was awarded to Radiant Design, and it is for the Virginia Avenue modernization. And so I'll let Mr. Mack talk about that a little bit.
Is he gonna do that?
Yes, good evening, board. So for this purchase order, what we're doing is we're kind of signifying that work will be started. We're definitely in the design phase of this. We're not tearing any buildings down tomorrow or anything like that. So we're in the preliminary design phases. This is a modernization project. We're looking at Virginia Avenue. It's going to be a multi-funded project where we are using some state monies from Expanded Learning, because some of these rooms will help with Expanded Learning. We're going to be applying for the TK Kinder Facility Grant, as well as modernization fund grants that we're eligible to, which can be up to $3 million, as well as using local bond money, because on many of those grants, there's a matching amount as well. So the estimated totals for this project right now that the district will look into putting in is about a little over $9 million. Now, because this is a multi-funded project, And specifically our oldest classrooms at Virginia Avenue will focus on those TK kinder classrooms that need the most work to make sure that we have classrooms that can be available for the teachers for the modern kinder classroom. We have to use what they call an OPSC sliding scale fee. Think of this as kind of like a prevailing wage fees for architectural services. It starts off with the first $500,000 of the project is 12%. The next $500,000 is about 11.5%. It slides all the way down to 8% as how much money is being spent in the project. So this purchase order that we're looking at approving is for $906,500 based upon an estimate of $9.1 million for the project. We're not spending $906,000 today. All we're saying is we're saying that is the limit that we can spend. To apply for the kinder facility grant, to apply for those state modernization monies, which is somewhere around the realm of $4.5 million, we have to submit plans to DTSC, which means that there has to be work started on those plans. So that's why we started with a request for qualifications here quite a few months ago. We posted, we put it out. We had interviews with local architects. Radian was the one that came out on top. We have already hired an architect for Site 5. That is Ortiz Melby. So we do work with multiple projects, but one of the reasons that we went with Radian was we were very happy with the window project we did here. We're also wanting the best architects we can get. We have a great architect with Ortiz Melby, with our principal being Manuel. But however, these projects are going to be somewhat simultaneously, and we don't want resources being tied up on one and we don't get the best resources on the other. So Radian will be the ones for this project. People may ask why. Both great architect firms. We work with both of them. We enjoy working with both of them, both local companies here in Bakersfield. But again, all we're saying here is we're putting a cap on how much this is. This won't be all expended in this fiscal year. We won't spend that much money this year, but it does enable us to start paying them to do the work in that planning design phase with some early schematics. The original projects that will be on here is measuring classrooms, kind of getting some infrastructure guidelines, what kind of new power are we going to need for these classrooms. The utilities of VA are very aged. And so getting all that design phase. Before we start seeing any schematics or what the modernization we'll obviously have a presentation here. We'll bring different stakeholders to be involved in this process, but this is just so we can start working with them and so that we can start doing that great work so we can modernize Virginia Avenue.
What is the estimated start date from like the start to finish of this project?
That's a tough question because what happens when you get into a modernization project such as this, you're applying for funding. So it's all funding contingent. We'll understand that when we go and apply for modernization funding, we will not receive that money until after building is completed. So it's always a cash flow game. We may be promised funds, but we'll have to start paying for the project before those funds go. Recently, we've brought in and started already doing some environmental scoping on the buildings itself to know what are we getting into. So if there's any type of hazardous materials, we know how to handle them appropriately during a dismantle. Right now with the state architect, with DSA, we have submitted plans there that I go on there every daily and look at the drop. I have plans that were submitted 4 weeks ago and they have not been opened by a state architect yet. So the line is very backlogged. They are supposedly at the end of this month opening the local offices in Fresno. They're not opening the Bakersfield office yet, but with working with DSA, it'll be timely. We can start getting some early work done fast with some designing, but then we get in line and we wait. And we can't really move forward until DSA gives us some approval on the plans because we have to have 50% plan approval before we can apply for the funding. And so looking at any of these projects, I'd love to say in the next year, but I'm throwing a dart at the wall there. I will say on a project like this is not a project that we would finish in a summer. So this would be a project that we'd have to manage during the school year where we would have to bring in temporary classrooms and move students. So the one thing is once we're ready to move and mobilize, we're not waiting for like June to happen because this is a project that will have to be managed during the school year, if that makes sense. So I wish I could give you a date.
That's fine. You answered a few of my questions before I can ask them. Thank you.
I do have a
Um,
question. Yeah.
I was about to ask if any.
Another one? Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay, okay. Mr. Mack, this makes me very happy to hear, by the way. My question though is that are these needs determined? Is there some type of physical grounds, assessments of the schools, other than anecdotal data by individuals, right? Oh, we need this, we need that. Overall, how do you guys come to the determination that, these are the needs of, Virginia Avenue?
Believe it or not, Virginia Avenue is actually our oldest facility. Even though Fairfax was built here, there was the earthquakes and the fires and everything that's gone down. So it's actually our oldest facility on campus. It's a campus that has the oldest utilities there. And in regards to it does not have enough power to really expand. So part of this modernization is bringing in proper utilities into that. Virginia Avenue is still on septic, whether or not that can be addressed in this modernization or not with the funding of theirs, that's part of the design. So part of the design is, hey, we know that we can put this money, the goal is to put this money together. Now, what can we actually do with the scope, working with the estimators on it? Virginia Avenue is one of our highest needs in regards to facility there. You know, and to be quite honest and frank, there was a modernization project that was looked at in the past that at the time it couldn't happen. And now we're looking at some state fundings, looking that it can be done again. And we want to be able to jump on those, get in line for those fundings while we can. We know that every year we wait to do a modernization, the cost of construction just rises, right? So this project, if we start this project 3 years from now, it's going to be considerably more expensive than it is later. We've done some modernization projects here at Fairfax. We did some windows. We've done the Commons projects. They had the gym bill here. There's been a lot of modernization projects over here, and it's time to give Virginia Avenue some love in that regard.
And then Mr. Mack also mentioned when the first, he kind of first started this about braiding funds and using multiple funding sources. And one of those is universal pre-K, which is where some of those facilities would be looking at.
If you look at the TK facility grant, if you look at that front corner of Virginia Avenue of where those classrooms are in relationship to the school, where we could put a true kinder playground, where we could also put a drop-off loop. When you look at the requirements, I'd be happy to share this with you sometime, what the requirements apply for these grants. It's like that's the key location to hit all those spots, and we can use that facility to maximize the funds for that area because it's a high SED area. It's a spot, but we could create a drop-off loop there with the Ross driveway there. We would be able to move buildings and create a center courtyard to have its own play structure, self-contained. You could have multiple classrooms touching that playground. So when you're looking at all the dots of what can be used to maximize funding, it's like this corner of this campus has a lot of potential of what can hit spots and kind of raises our potential to get awarded in that grant. And so that's one of the reasons too as well why we want to choose where we chose this facility, because it meets a lot of criteria. Also braiding with modernization money, Zephyr and Shirley are not eligible to any modernization money for quite some time. Fairfax does have some eligibility. We're not quite there at the yet waiting, because it also has to do with how many portables you have on that classroom. Equates to dollars in the value. There are actually more portables on Virginia Avenue than permanent classrooms. And so that's another reason why Virginia Avenue was chosen.
I have one more question.
Sure.
You may or may not be able to answer this, but have you seen the construction that is going on across from Virginia Avenue?
Yes.
Will the modernization project for our school be affected any by that? Like with all this construction going on, is it going to be possible for it to happen without
Yes.
contradicting that?
Yes. Number one, generally all our facilities, our staging would all be done on site. That company's out of Tulare that's actually doing that development. I can't think of it. It's going to be somewhere around 82 single residence dwellings. All those dwellings will, if you look at the current plans, have a like a mother-in-law unit in it. So we say 82 dwellings, there's going to be 164 addresses there. Which is another reason why to expand some of Virginia Avenue, because those are Virginia Avenue houses, trying to get ahead of that. They do have the plan to put in the streets. There'll be a street access from Virginia Avenue, and I think it's Pioneer along the side that goes down, and there'll be a connection from there as well to kind of loop through travel. Those houses are coming in. We will be able to work around them. I that's something that has been brought up. I have heard that they're planning on doing the roads, but some of the actual construction of this housing has been, is looking to slow down because some of the interest rates have been rising there. It's always hard to say. Deer Creek said they thought it was slowing, but they're still blowing up, building houses over there. So there's definitely still going to be a need for housing, but I think we can. The one thing that is a benefit there is when that housing development came this last summer, they brought in a new sewer and water line down Virginia Avenue. They did put in the county did put a future stub out that is directly in front of our bus loop that comes out of Virginia Avenue. So that's one thing that we will be looking at and trying to see, is it possible to move Virginia Avenue over to city sewer versus being on septic, which is what they are currently on. All our plumbing runs the wrong way. So the only way that would be possible was to build a pump station somewhere on the campus to be able to connect to the city. But all those things will be part of the design state and the feasibility design state, like what is actually feasible with the budget that we can have.
Thank you. Is there any more questions, comments, concerns? Alrighty. Do I have a motion to approve action item 2?
I make the first motion.
Thank you.
Second motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Educational services, single plan for student achievement. Who will be going over that?
Over the next couple of board meetings, we have some school sites that will be presenting to you their single school plan for student achievement and asking for an approval of those plans. Tonight, the 2 school sites that we'll be presenting is Fairfax Junior High and Virginia Avenue. And Fairfax Junior High School will go first, and the principal of that school, Mr. Hernandez, will be presenting.
Of our teachers. He helps us keep our attendance going so well at the school. So thank you. I'll get you into Wood. I'm sorry. I apologize for the new board members that I haven't met. I'm David Hernandez. I'm the principal at Fairfax Junior High. Congratulations and nice to meet you. Go ahead and get that slide. Yeah, thank you.
And so each of you have in front of you a copy of the presentation and will also be on the screen behind us.
Yeah, so what you guys have is the school plan for achievement for this year, 22-23. We call it CISPA. And so we'll probably be using that acronym. So this evening, just in a few minutes, I won't take too long. I know everyone's had a long day. Presentation overview, of course, the CISPA goals, how we support our English language learners, AVID, and I'll talk to you about what exactly AVID is and how we use that to help our students get ready not only for high school, but for college as well. National Junior Honor Society is just one of the programs that we want to highlight. And our TOSA is here, Mrs. Wood, and I wanted to thank her for the information and all she does for our school and also with the slides. Thank you, Mrs. Wood. Some of our staff members also will be talking about that. The money helps us pay for our coordinator of student support, site counselors, and yes, I said counselors. Thank you to the support that we have at the district office for getting us 2 counselors. We really need it. And they're doing a great job. We have an incredible music teacher, choir, orchestra, mariachi that we always highlight whenever you guys come out to visit. And of course, at the end, we're going to talk about how important it is to community involvement and how all this kind of ties together. I don't want to read all of these to you, but the goals that we were talking about, the first goal, basically, we're trying to work on improving what the kids are here for, their education. We want to improve, of course, we're going to target language arts and math, all of our subjects especially, but language arts and math. And we're going to do that by using highly qualified teachers and the strategies that they bring to help our students make those gains. Also, we're going to be focusing on our English language learners and try to move them up as what we call our CELT levels. And we use the indicators on the English learner progress. And we're trying to move those up at least 1 level. Another one of our goals is to increase student engagement, parent involvement, and school safety. Like Mr. Clark alluded to earlier, we use surveys for those things and parent feedback. Attendance award, right? Yay. kids coming to school and being engaged. And we definitely want to thank our parents for getting those kiddos to school all the time. And then a goal down at the bottom there, again, working on a reclassified kids in our ELD group to move them up 10 to 15%, which is getting tougher in junior high, but to move them up 10 to 15% in the one school year. These are some of the ways that we do support our English language learners. We have a student profile, which basically is a way, not just the name and the number of the kid or their score, but how they work well. What kind of groups do they like? Are they working with small groups? We have instructional aids that we use, and the teachers collaborate weekly, if not more, to best serve these students and try to move them up, because we want to reclassify them and put them in our English language, our English only classes as well. This is what I had talked to before. You'll see us use the term AVID. A lot of our students proudly walk around with their shirts that say AVID on them. It stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. And like I talked about, Mr. Woods right there with some of our kiddos, past and present. And what that is focusing on is getting these kids ready academically and socially for high school and hopefully beyond college level. There's a list of some of the things we do right there, but you kind of have to come out and see them. One of the things that we're really proud is, I know there's a glare there, but these are some of our avid student readers. We have, of course, as you guys all know, 3 of our elementary feeder schools, Virginia Avenue, Shirley, and Zephyr. These are some of our 8th grade avid readers from Mr. Dodd's class, one of our teachers and avid teachers, and they were at Virginia Avenue. They go there every week, and they were over there reading, and you can see them in the cafeteria with our VA kids. Both groups, the VA kids and our kids, really like it, and they seem to enjoy it. National Junior Honor Society. We have a lot of programs going on, but this is one that we are especially proud of. The students need to be nominated by the teachers, and the teachers collaborate and they talk about that, and we all have a limited placing, so it gets pretty tough. The teachers want to fight for their kids and put them in there, and it's more than just our kids that are doing well academically. This is about character and developing leaders. Mrs. Wood and our teachers do such a great job with this. When the kids graduate, they get a graduation stole that says NJHS that they proudly wear, and deservedly so. And they get to go on some field trips, and it's just a great deal. We, at the end of the year, we have a dinner where we, here in the cafeteria, where we honor them and make a big deal out of it, because they deserve that. They're working really hard. No. All right, I guess my time's up. There we go. I think I went too far now. I just kind of did a whole bunch of them. Can I go back? Okay, sorry. Okay, there it is. Sorry about that. Some of the money that we use is for our coordinator student support. We call them our costs. At our school, we have Mr. David Foster, who does a wonderful job, does a ton of things, but some of the ones I could put on the screen there. He works on our academic needs and student support for our children, home visits, Hazel Health, some of the acronyms we use, the SSTs and the 504s, basically to academically support our students in so many different ways. And you see him out there working with teachers. There's some parent involvement. And then with some of the kiddos that have been working on a field trip out there and having a good time. So those are our coordinator of student supports. Our counselors, some of the activities that our counselors do, they really keep the kids busy. They have a lot of things going on. Our counselors are full of energy and just great ideas. PBIS is our positive behavior incentives, and that's what keeps the kids coming to school. And they get these awards through apps online. From their teachers, from staff members. We have assemblies, rallies, a pretty cool glow dance where we black out the gym and we give them these little glow strips things, and they kind of have a great time out there with our DJ, and just so many fun things to keep them on the positive side for our students who are coming to school and making great choices. Our Title IV money is money we use for our music teacher. And she does a great job here. And mariachi, you can see some of the mariachi that perform Whenever you guys come on out, we put them on center stage and she always does a great job. So to our music teacher, thank you again for doing such a good job with us and with the kids. Just some of the community involvement things that we've had just this year. Of course, the back to school night. We did a thing called Healthy Minds, Healthy Bodies, where a staff member, we teamed up with United Way, and we were handing out gift bags and things that the kids needed, books, food. It was a great event. And there's a couple more in there. We have some parents in the center who volunteered to make our staff breakfast right around Christmas break, which was definitely appreciated. So thank you to all those families and all of our people that come out and support us. So next steps going forward. At the top, when we first started, Mrs. Brown alluded to something that we're really excited about. We have a really cool science lab. We use that acronym PITSCO, and we used it last year, and we're getting excited to get it started. We're definitely going to invite you guys all out in February to come and take a look at that lab in action with students working, creating, experimenting, having a great time. So please save the date for that in February. Mr. Clark was out taking a look today, and we're getting all jazzed about it and getting ready for that. Track meet, we continue to honor our students academically and with attendance awards. The month of May, as you guys know, gets extremely busy around the schools, and our junior high is no exception. Career Day, the end of the year awards, and with our 8th graders, some of the biggies, the Magic Mountain graduation, which was a wonderful turnout last year at Miramonte, and the dance afterward. A lot going on the next few months. So I definitely want to say thank you. Just some candid pictures of our wonderful staff and students for all the support that they have. And again, I would hopefully you guys will go on and approve our school plan, and I appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. All right, Mr. Martinez, come on up, and he will be presenting for Virginia Avenue.
Good morning. A long day. Sorry. I'm a little disheveled. I was on that win with our sports teams tonight, so the hair did look a little better. But good evening, board members, everybody here, everybody in Zoom land, Superintendent Brown and Assistant Superintendent Mr. Clark. I'm Mr. Martinez. I have the great honor and privilege to be the principal of Virginia Avenue, and I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about Virginia Avenue. First and foremost, I do want to thank you for approving that remodelization of Virginia Avenue. It's much needed, and I thank you for that. So I want to first start off with the acronym that we kind of coined this year. It's SCOLD. It's a Viking chant, but it's something that I kind of coined for Virginia Avenue. Some know, others lead. For our staff, I did want to coin that because during the summer we were the school that kept the most teachers. So we're seasoned and we want to lead by example. We want to lead for the district. We want to lead our students as well. So that's something that I just kind of coined this summer. Today's overview, we're going to be looking over student incentives and acknowledgement, interventions and programs, family and community engagement, field trips and celebrations, and then our Virginia Avenue vision, as well as our next steps. And then we'll finish up with a little short video, staying true to the VA culture. What does it mean to be a Viking? So first, we're going to talk about our student incentives and acknowledgements. Every Friday, we hold a rally to celebrate. We want those immediate celebrations for students. You know, if we have those monthly ones, they kind of lose track of what did I do again? So we wanted to have those every Friday rallies to celebrate Lexia 5 levelers, AR trophies, attendance trophies, other acknowledgement like sports, STEM. We're working on a math award. We want all these immediate awards to let those kids know that we're proud of them for, you know, those short little week growths that they do at school. And then we also end our months with our Viking of the Month awards, and that celebrates 2 students, academics, and citizenship. And then we also have our quarterly awards. We have our AR parties. We're working on a math iReady party, and then Student incentives include PBIS activities. We just went to the Condors field trip. We have lunch with the principal, Viking victories. We do the esports room. We have the Cop Being Good store, and we also have cast prize raffle when we do the cast. And then last year we did start our first ever Viking color run, which was really fun. We just had all the red and we threw it on the kids and they loved it. So I think there's a couple pictures up there. You can see some of the activities we did, the color run, e-games, and then our rallies and things like that. Moving on to interventions and programs, we have our reading room. We have a new reading room that we are using for interventions, K through 3rd students. That's with our reading interventionist, Ms. Buddy, and also Ms. Delgado, our ELD TOSA. They work together. Our math room, which is head up by Mrs. Weinman, and that goes for third through 6th graders, but it's all a collaborative process. We just finished up our data teams this week. You know, we have a family at Virginia Avenue, so we come together and through our data teams, we discuss, you know, those individualized and differentiated strategies that we want the teachers see in the classroom firsthand. They're the leaders of the school, they're in there every day. So we work together to set those goals and strategies that we want to move forward. We also have our STEM Pittsco lab, and that science is school-wide with Mrs. Huff. And then we have Fast Migrant Extended Learning, head by Ms. Davis. We have orchestra, Lego, we have traveling artists, we have our music. Our implementations we've been working on this year is 95%, that's K through 3rd. And also our thinking maps, which, you know, even TK, I've walked through some classes, they have those thinking maps up, and that's TK through 6. Our programs that we're currently using, Lexia Core 5, that's K through 5. Lexia Power Up, that's 6th. And then iReady is K through 6. We're trying to get TK in there, they're a little scared of it, but we'll see what they can do. Accelerated Reader, Nearpod Vocabulary, and then our technology, we utilize again our esports room, that's Xboxes, e-gaming, and then we also do have a class set of VR. So we're trying to get all that into the classroom as well. Family and community engagement, my favorite part of now that we're back to normal, bringing the most opportunity for parents to come celebrate and be around their students at school. The parents wanted it, so we did have our Candyland Carnival. Miss Buddy really put that together. We made a good profit. We had all the families out. They didn't want to leave at night. We had the DJ going. They wanted to party all night, but we had to close it down. But we made a lot of money that night. We had the VA pumpkin patch with the kinders and TKs. I've had 2 coffee with the principals where parents come and they speak their concerns to me. And, you know, we speak on that one-on-one, face-to-face level, and they just, you know, we talk. And that's what I like to do, is we talk it out and we solve problems together as a community. School performances so far this year, we've had 3rd grade, Thanksgiving, 1st grade, Christmas, and then we're working on our 2nd grade, which is our Frozen Winter. And then 4th grade, we'll finish it up with the patriotic. Kinder and 1st grade just finished up their Christmas decorating. So the Kinder did little Christmas trees in the cafeteria. 1st grade did gingerbread houses. Then we've had family picnics. We're gonna have 2 more. We have weekly rallies again. We have our Glow Crazy dance coming up. And then we have our Books Till Bedtime and our book fair picnic as well. And then Miss Levinson is working hard on her 2nd play. She had an awesome play last year. This year, she's working on The Lion King. She's also incorporated to all 6th graders this year by creating a drama club. So pulling in more of the students from outside of the classroom. And then we'll also have our Noche de Ciencias. So that's all our fun family engagement. And I think there's some awesome pictures there. And I think there might be a quick little couple of videos. So that was, ooh, sorry, I'll step back. That was our 1st grade performance as our Christmas. And then this is the Thanksgiving performance. And those are just a couple of them. I'm excited to have the rest of them. On the 1st grade performance, I've been teaching in education for a while. The 1st grade performance It was a packed house. I'm glad the fire marshal didn't come. But we had finished the show. At the end of the show, the parents did not want to leave. They shouted, encore, encore one more time. And the teachers gave it to them. I've never seen that before for an encore to happen, but it was amazing. You know, you give the crowd what they want, and we did. So that was real fun to see. Field trip celebrations. I tell the teacher, when the teachers ask, I say, do more. You know, I want our kids to see and go places, once in a lifetime experiences that maybe they'll never have the opportunity again to do. So that's why we have a huge list here. And I'm sure if we did this at the end of the year, it'd be twice or 3 times this length, because again, I do want the teachers just to find anything we can get our teachers to have, our students to have those life experiences. So there's a huge list. You can go through it if you want. The star ones are the coming up. So my favorite is the Cinco de Mayo folklorico mariachi performance, because it is my birthday as well. So I think they sing and dance for me, but there's our huge list right there. And there's some pictures of some new ones. We went to the ballet this year. Those Nutcracker Ballet. We went to Miramonte. They went to the 6th graders went to Manufacturing Day at BC. So, you know, business is normal, and it's great to see those kids having those lifetime experiences. I took over last year. So coming out of COVID, I was in the technology department. So I was kind of on the front lines there. Coming out of it, when I had this opportunity to become principal, I saw there was kind of a down, you know, amongst students, amongst staff. And I first started working at Virginia Avenue as a kindergarten teacher. Ms. Brown was my principal. And then they continued on with the great Mr. Garday. And I just wanted, through seeing those 2 leaders, I wanted to reignite that Virginia Avenue vision and culture. And it is there. It's our vision continues the rich and long-lasting culture of Virginia Avenue by creating a school environment that is student-centric. That's the most important part right there. And pushes each and every student to thrive and believe in their ongoing learning. One that consists of standards of being respectful, responsible, and ready. A culture focused on supporting academic and social emotional growth. Best practices in regards to rigor and expected expectations. I'm getting old in my old age. For all learners, and creating a school culture that allows students to thrive in constantly changing times. Looking forward to the future, we hope to work closely with students, staff, and parents to continue and grow the community that has become a family at Virginia Avenue. We believe in the 3, students, staff, and parents will walk this path together. Se hace camino al andar. We will make this road by walking. Thank you for walking with us toward our future at Virginia Avenue. So that's something I gave out to the staff, my support staff first. We kind of discussed it. We brought it to the staff as a whole, always working as a family. And we just really narrowed it down to what we wanted our vision to reignite that long lasting 1953 built school culture. So that was something we put forward last year, and we're continuing to work on this year. And then our next steps, again, with the absences, calling family from the office, my cost, Ms. Castro, Mr. Garcia, my counselor, always making those phone calls, those house visits, academics and social emotional, targeting, grouping students based on reading and math needs, STEM lab, Pittsco lessons, Lexi and I ready differentiate instruction to meet each student's individual needs, filling open positions for yard aides to assist with school safety, filling open positions for instructional aides to assist with our math program, and then utilizing our CAS testing website, which provides teacher tools and practice training tests for students. And then the last part it comes along with the little video. What does it mean to be a Viking? So Mr. Mack, make sure they pump up the volume. I'm not saying.
I actually went to Virginia Avenue in third grade, so. Any questions for either of these school sites?
Thank you.
Thank you. So do I have a motion to approve action item for the student achievement? Do I have a first?
I'll make the first.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Personal action for certified staff. It is recommended that the,
Item to the library.
oh, shoot, I keep scooting over stuff. And this is one I was very excited about too. I'm sorry. Action item 2, library book vending machines. And who is presenting?
All right, I'm going to bring
this?
up, so earlier this year, around September or so, I get a call about this amazing project that they would like to see at their school. And so they wrote up a proposal and I got excited about it and I said, I think this should go, let's see if all the schools want that. And this is a library vending machine and it's just an incentive to help and encourage reading. We always want to encourage the love of reading. And when students get to choose their own book and get to hold a book, there's always something special about that. And so with that, I want to turn it over to these ladies. Please introduce yourselves and kind of what brought on this idea and tell us about your proposal.
Great. Good evening. I am Mrs. Brandon. I'm the TOSA or one of the TOSAs from Zephyr Lane. And I have Miss Lily, our librarian with us, and Miss Brown, our reading specialist with me tonight. We are so excited to share with you all about the book vending machine that we hope will be ordered for all 4 of our sites very soon. Our number one goal with our vending machine is to get more books into the hands of all of our kiddos, to build their home libraries and create a love for reading. The vending machine holds roughly 200 books, depending on the different configurations that are available. And our plan is to include high interest books ranging from levels in kindergarten all the way to 6th grade. Students will earn special little tokens that are used to select a book of their choice from the vending machine.
We're taking turns. So yes, we're excited. Building a love of reading is so important. So, but we also wanted to tie these efforts to our PBIS plan and our Character Strong program that our entire district is currently implementing. PBIS focuses on reinforcing positive behavior, and the Character Strong program highlights a different positive character trait for our students to focus on each month. All of our staff will have the opportunity to recognize students from the yard to the classroom that go out of their way to show kindness or that demonstrate the monthly character trait. So those tokens, or like true tokens, will be given out to those students at our Friday rally.
We plan to host the vending machine in our school library, where the kids will have access to it and the titles can be on display. Our library funds and Booster Club will help us with the refilling the titles each year. We're confident that our kiddos will love this opportunity to get more books. And thank you for your consideration.
Mr. Mack, can you put the picture of the library machine? I sent an email that had a picture on it as well.
I pulled up several images, I guess, or different makes, models and everything. So these are actually going into the libraries themselves.
Yes.
Yes. Is there any need for additional like Wi-Fi or power to these devices, or is it just simply activated using the token?
They plug in, it's just by a token. It's kind of much like a soda machine.
Yeah. The ones I see here look like a snack vending machine.
That's exactly right. I think we're gonna bring up a picture that is similar to what we're looking at. And so the one that would be at the junior high would have like the smaller that holds more of the chapter books, because they make the trays that would be bigger for the picture books for such as the kindergartners. So they'll be student age specific. And also I've been talking with some of the librarians and some of the reading specialists, and really trying to put titles in there that the kids have been wanting and requesting. So it's really kind of becomes that coveted, I want to get that book. And then, and so as the district, we are, proposing to put the vending machines at the sites, and then the sites will take it from there to stock the machines with the books from their different revenue streams.
This doesn't replace like book fairs, that type of. No. I'm good with it.
Yeah, it doesn't replace the book fair, but that's kind of, is an opportunity for sites to earn, they call them like scholastic dollars, and they can use those to buy books to actually put in the machine.
Yeah. Considero que es una buena iniciativa porque el niño se emociona. Yo cuando estuve leyendo la agenda y que vi me emocioné. Yo me emocioné. Me imagino que los niños se van a emocionar, decir, yo compré este libro. Aquí está el libro que me gusta. Creo que es una iniciativa muy buena que va a ayudar mucho a la lectura, pero también aquí viene el que los maestros motiven. Ahí viene una tarea de los maestros, que sigan motivando más y más a la lectura, porque la lectura se está perdiendo ahora con la tecnología.
So I think this is a great initiative, for them to go in and say, I got this book, the book that I like, so they can fall in love with reading. Now, I think it's also the duty of the teachers to encourage it because they're motivated. We're losing reading skills with technology. See that?
La tecnología está atrapando no solamente a los niños, a los mayores también. Entonces, los maestros tienen esa gran tarea de seguirlos motivando más y más para que ellos, con el orgullo, así como va, dicen, me compré yo estas galletas, digan, yo me compré este libro. Y entonces sí, los maestros pueden hacer, no sé, pueden hacer algo para competir entre los niños, a ver quién compró más o qué leyeron, qué comprendieron, no sé, algo para motivarlos.
So maybe the teachers can do something, so they're like in competition with another, just the way they buy cookies, like, look, I bought this book, so the teachers have to also do these incentives or motivation so they can go out and get these books as well. I like that.
They're earning by good behavior, all kinds of activities that they have to do. So it's just something different. All children love to go to the gumball machine or the candy vending machine where they want. They're not using their money, they're using tokens that they earn. So it's a great opportunity for them to purchase something that they earn on their own. And it's all through hard work and not through a purchase personal money, but their hard work that they've done in school. Behavior or academics or whatever they need to do.
I still like using the gumball machines, but approximately how many tokens would you give per grade level during a specific time? How many do you expect to be given out? Harry Potter. You probably do a little suggestion box on what the students like and what they are not interested in. Like, you're not going to put dictionaries in there because they're going to be like, no, thank you. Comic books would be something. I think that's for the 7th and 8th graders. Reading.
Yeah, that's right.
I like the pictures. Is there any more comments? Anybody have anything else to add?
I don't know if they still have
You know, Scholastic used to have, not a book fair, but when they would liquidate all of their extra inventory.
Yeah, they have the warehouse sales and they do have the warehouse sales still. And we do go there and they let you keep your Scholastic dollars. They let you use those at the warehouse sales and they still do have those in town. And you can really get a lot of bang for your buck. And we do try to participate in those.
Would people be able to donate books to that as well if they're
That's
age
one of,
appropriate?
that is one of the, kind of one of the things that I see as a benefit. We always have a lot of people who like to donate, but they really want to know what they're donating for. They like a specific thing. And so we have already have some interest that want to donate some books for the, those. And so we'll have them work with the librarians and so forth with that.
Very nice. Any additional comments, concerns?
I think it's a great idea. Thank you, girls. It's wonderful.
All righty. So do I have a motion to approve action item 2?
Hermoso.
Oh, you were quick to that, Mr. Tapia.
Segundo.
Thank you, Mr. Chrysler. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Now we will go to the personal action number 1, certified staff. It is recommended that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to hire the following individual for the position listed. A temporary contract for school year 22 to 23 for a multiple subject teacher for Fairfax Junior High, Logan Van Sickle. Do I have a motion to, well, can we explain a little bit on that and why he is in a temporary contract?
Yeah, sure. So, hires kind of this late in the year are higher than temporary contract. And this has become a need because at the last board meeting, we had approved to have the PE teacher from the junior high move over to Zephyr Lane for the rest of the year to be an interim coordinator of student support, Mr. Johnson. So Christian Johnson is over there at Zephyr Lane for the rest of the year as an interim. So that created a vacancy over here at the junior high that we need to fill. And to fill that vacancy, we had a teacher here that was teaching us under a multiple subject credential, multiple classes, and who actually his background is more of a physical education background and actually had applied to be a PE teacher. That is, that teacher has moved over to the PE position. And so that created an opening and a need for this position. And so this contract is a temporary contract and would end at the end of the school year.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve action item number 1?
Second.
Do I have a, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Action item 2, classified staff. It is recommended that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to hire the following individuals for positions listed. Joseph Portillo, aide 2 at Shirley Lane, and
that second one, we were hoping to get all documents needed prior to the meeting, but we were not able to, so that name was not added to the agenda. So we will just be approving the Joseph Portillo, yes.
okay. Do I have a motion to approve Joseph for SLE? Do I have a first motion?
First motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Action item number 3, personal report.
And so the personnel report is attached to the agenda, and this report is has employees that are already current employees that transferred to different positions. And so this is a document that captures all of those transfers. And so we had some transfers that moved to more hours or to different sites. And so I'd recommend that the board approve the personnel report as presented.
Do I have a motion to approve action item 3?
First motion.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Board policy. Board policy.
These are all first reading board policies. And so these will remain on and available to you for the next month. This is an opportunity to review the board policies and to ask questions or get clarifications. And they would be approved if proposed at the second, as a second reading next month.
Nice. Moving on to 10, we do not have any closed session at this time. So we're going to skip to item 12. Special board meeting for January 18th. Our next board workshop will be January 21st. And then our regular board meeting will, we need to fix that typo. Our next regular board meeting will be held on February 9th.
Yep, that's it.
That's it. Our adjourn time is at 7:39. Thank you guys all for coming, and I hope to see you guys at the next meeting. Thank you.